welcome to Life Talk for October 22nd, 2019. I'm Mark Crutcher, and I'm joined as usual by the usual suspects.
Yes.
Renee,
Hi.
my assistant Renee,
Hello. Great to be here.
and my daughter Sheila, and of course Ernie, the frilled-necked Republican. And he looks in fine form today. Just to let you know, we didn't get on Facebook today live, and so we'll be having Facebook a post to the YouTube channel on Facebook later today. So
Yeah, so we'll link to our YouTube
right.
page, and so you can watch this episode on YouTube. But for some reason, Facebook wasn't allowing us to do the live stream.
We don't know if anything's funky going on there, if they're throwing us off, or it's just some technical.
I think it's censorship because it's not technical.
Well,
so.
we don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what's going on. A couple of things I want to get to real quickly. A Planned Parenthood abortion mill, death camp, is opening up in southern Illinois, and they're making no bones about the fact that they're doing it to service people in Missouri.
That's right.
Because they're concerned that Missouri is going to restrict abortion once
Well,
Roe
and
falls.
they have.
And they already have.
They have
right.
the heartbeat bill. Yeah.
Right.
It's there.
And this goes to the issue that we've brought up here many times before, and it just reaffirms it one more time. If we overturn Roe versus Wade strictly on a states' rights argument,
Yep.
which is what most legal scholars say will happen if Roe is overturned, that just sends it back to the states. It does not protect one single baby.
That's right. Nope. Not one bit.
Not one baby. Every baby in America is legally abortable right now.
Right.
If it goes back to the states, they will still be legally abortable. The mother might have to take the baby, kind of extradite him to another state to be executed. She takes him there to be killed. But for example, here in Texas, if Texas were to ban abortion and Colorado was just an open pro-abortion state,
Right.
it's no problem
Right.
for a woman to get in a car or get on a Southwest Airlines and fly to Colorado and have her child executed.
It's just like people, going to Mexico for prostitution or, black market stuff.
Right, exactly.
It would be the same way.
Well, and I watched a video on that, and the abortionist, the baby killer in Illinois, was collaborating with the baby killer in Missouri, saying that it was only about a 15-minute drive to that new Planned Parenthood that is just opening, that was secretly being built so
Right.
there wouldn't be protesters there.
Yep. And I still say, if push came to shove, they'd be putting abortion clinics on the border inside Mexico and inside Canada, just across the state, the U.S. and Canadian border,
Right.
and U.S. and Mexican border. These people are insatiable when it comes to marketing death.
Absolutely.
They can't be stopped.
That's why it's not just about ending abortion through legal means. It's about, changing people's hearts too. Because push comes to shove, people will find a way to do evil.
Well, yeah, but you have to have legal protection
Well,
for the
yeah.
unborn. It has to be a personhood
Well, yeah.
ruling by the Supreme Court. Grants personhood to the unborn and protects them. Even if you said, okay, all
Yeah.
million women a year would then go to Canada or they'd go to Mexico. Okay, we still we have a moral obligation to protect those children by our laws.
Yeah, definitely. But we have to make abortion unthinkable too.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine that it's thinkable anyway. But
Yeah.
to
I can't either.
some people it is.
It's disgusting. It's
Even a
vile.
lot of the people who have abortions say it's unthinkable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why there are so many of them in the pro-life movement right now as we speak, and why Norma McCorvey understood this whole thing, and she went to her grave knowing how many babies have been killed, which is
Because she
sad.
fell into deception.
She fell into, yeah.
And also, we need to point out that she never actually had an abortion.
Right. She's got a baby out there somewhere. That,
Yeah.
Of course, obviously an adult long ago. But anyway, what you have there, Sheila?
Thinking of, abortion just being unthinkable and can't imagine, people actually wanting it. Well, there's an article from GQ. It's called 12 Men Share Their Abortion Stories. The quotes in this are just so sickening and disgusting. I want to point out something, though, that the author said this: men, it's clear, are part of the abortion experience in America. These are their 12 stories. well, yeah, you know, the babies are their children too. It was all men on the Supreme Court who did Roe
Liberal.
versus Wade.
Right.
So at least they're finally admitting that, yeah, men are part of this
Well, the interesting
issue.
thing is, since the day I got in this, I've been told, sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
You know, no uterus, no opinion, that nonsense that you hear.
Yeah.
They never said that to Bill Clinton.
No.
Or to Al Gore.
No.
Or to any Ted Kennedy. Any of these raging, slobbering pro-aborts that are males. They never told them they don't have a voice.
Yeah, it's different standards. They aren't saying this to the guys who are speaking for abortion, but they say it to the guys who speak out.
yeah.
Well, it's
Speak
funny
out again.
because the Democratic debate that was just last week, they were saying that men need to step up and speak out on this issue.
Right.
And they were men that were talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about that too, Renee, is I think one reason they're wanting to get men involved, if you look at the polling, men always poll more pro-abortion than women. If you just took, I've always said, if you just took all the men out of it, say give the pro-abortion what they want, take all the men and just let the women make the decision, we'd ratchet up the number of people that are pro-life.
Yeah, and the people in this article, these aren't men. They're little boys who aren't taking responsibility and protecting their child. Instead, they're going along with killing their child.
They want responsibility for
Yeah.
sex, is what they
Yeah,
want. And these
I
women
mean-
are too stupid to recognize that they're being used this way.
Yeah, and they're murdering their own flesh and blood. There are a few quotes that really stood out that I want to share. The first one is talking about a guy who said, I ended up going to grad school. I got my master's. I'm making a healthy 6-figure salary. If I had to have dropped out of school, it would have been infinitely harder. And I might not have even gotten to this point. And so this shows that it was a selfish decision, that, you know, his life is better because he murdered his own child.
Now, I would have asked this guy, let me ask you something, pal. And you're right, these aren't men, these are little boys.
Yeah.
They're immature, self-absorbed, and these women don't have enough sense to recognize they're being played by these guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would ask this guy, let's say that, not you, but another guy over here had a 5-year-old child. And he took out a $500,000 life insurance policy on this kid, or $1 million, and then strangled him.
Yeah.
And didn't get caught, and took that $1 million and started a business and became very successful. And now he's going back and saying, you know what? If I hadn't killed my kid, I wouldn't have made something of my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been successful. Would you give him a pass? Because that's exactly what you're saying
Oh,
here.
exactly. No, this just shows the selfishness of it.
Yep.
And then another person first called his child, he said that we made jokes about the invader, like it's some kind of, the baby's some kind of a parasite. He said, we went to the clinic and everyone was surprised I was there. Abortion done, no problem. I held her hand.
What
The
a guy.
receptionist told me that less than 10% have men to hold their hands. What a hero, this guy, you know. I'm going to hold your hand while our baby's being murdered. What a knight in shining armor.
Yes, he is. But and you know what's, you don't see these big articles of some of the men that we've talked to, that you've talked to here, since you've been working here, of guys just totally distraught, suicidal.
Right, because they lost a child in abortion, and they have no control over it. There's absolutely nothing that they can do about it.
We've had many, many instances here, because we were involved in the legal process of abortion, where guys have called us and said, my wife is threatening to kill my kid, or my girlfriend says she's going to kill my kid.
What can I do?
What can I do?
Yep.
And we're having to tell them, there's nothing you can
Nothing.
do, pal.
Sorry.
And the hypocrisy here is breathtaking. They're told, this is none of your business.
Yeah.
You sit over there in the corner and shut your mouth while your baby's being butchered.
Yeah.
But oh, by the way, if this woman changes her mind and gives birth to the baby, we want you to come over here and
Yeah.
start taking responsibility.
Right,
Now, which one is it?
Right.
You have responsibilities with no rights?
right.
Is that what you're saying? And that's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
But they never talk to those guys.
No,
they
of
talk to
course
these sleazebags like this. And this points out what the early feminists all said. Abortion is something that's done to protect the interest of sexually predatory and sexually irresponsible
Responsible
males.
Oh.
That's who profits from abortion.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And then also one more quote that I want to share. This person said, "I was more sentimental than I thought I would get about it. Seeing that that's life that's there, it doesn't make it any easier than we thought it was going to be. A lot of old school tropes really came into play. Like, are we killing this kid? Yes, you are killing your child. Sentimental about it. You should be sentimental about the fact that you have a child, that you're excited about having a baby. And then
It's just, it just,
Yeah.
all this reinforces what I've always said. The pro-aborts and the pro-lifers all know the same exact things.
yeah.
They know they're killing a kid. We know they're killing a kid. The difference between us three and these scumbags right here is that we care and they don't.
Yeah.
We care more about their own child than they care about it.
Yeah, and the mothers don't have motherly instincts. They want to kill their kid instead of being pregnant and taking care of their child. So, ladies, do not hook up with these sleaze bags. Do not hook up with these boys instead of men who, push and support you, hold your hand while you're killing your child. And then men, take responsibility. Don't be irresponsible. Take responsibility for your child.
And in both cases, whether you're talking about young men or young women, when you get a relationship with somebody, when you get hooked up with somebody, know their position on abortion.
Yes, of
Find
course.
out before you get involved with this person. First off, if they're pro-choice, ask yourself, do I want to be hooked up with somebody who's so morally bereft
No.
that they could kill their own baby? But if you're a woman and you're getting mixed up with a pro-choice man, what we know for a fact is, and we did a report on this, if he's pro-choice on his baby, he might be pro-choice on you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing this, women being murdered, being beat to death, being put in nursing homes, being put in permanent vegetative states
yeah.
because they refused to have abortion
Right.
because they might have been pro-life, but they were hooked up with a pro-choice guy.
Right.
And he's seeing abortion as a safety net.
Right.
And then she refuses to jump into the safety net and he kills her.
Yeah.
And we see this, we've got a whole report out about that online. You can read about it. It is not uncommon at all. Even the abortion industry talks about the number of women who are sitting in the waiting rooms because some man is threatening to kill them
Right.
or beat them up if they don't sit there.
And what makes me so mad besides these individuals is the fact that this is a magazine article in GQ. So GQ is a men's magazine, but teens still read it. I mean, it's online, so teen girls, young girls, and then young guys can see this and say, oh, these individuals had abortions. They didn't have a problem with it. It's okay. People tell me that that's a baby, it's a life. Yes, but look at these people. They went through it. They're okay. They're seeing this as an example of, normalizing abortion.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that magazine that Planned Parenthood puts out, how to get an abortion without your parents knowing,
Yeah.
or
Right.
it's
just-
it's insane.
it
It's
is.
corrupt.
And these people are getting worse and worse. I mean, they've always been morally bankrupt. There's no argument about that. But they're getting worse and worse. These
Right.
people are complete degenerates. And you can see it in the political process now, where 30 years ago, nobody, even the most rabid pro-abort, would not have been out in the public calling for abortion to be legal right up to the moment of birth and even after birth. Nobody would have been calling for that. Now they're openly
doesn't-
calling.
yeah.
They- You got,
Yeah,
you
we
got
want it.
what, 17 presidential candidates on the Democratic Party?
Yep.
All of them saying that. Every single one of them.
Well, that's what happens when you take God more and more out of stuff. I mean, you can see godless society. This is a product of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
You had something.
I
you wanted-
do. I have an article that Curtis Hill, he's the Indiana Attorney General, he had written an article about the fetal remains that were found in the abortionist Klopfer. Is that how you say his name?
Klopfer.
Yeah, in his house, where there were 2246 in his house, but there were more in his garage.
And in his car trunk.
And his car
yeah.
trunk, yeah. And what he's saying in this article is that both sides of the aisle are disturbed by this. It's revulsive. It's profoundly sadness. I mean, they're disgusted by it. And he asked the question, the discovery in Illinois, I've spoken about this ordeal with people on both sides of the abortion debate. Interesting reaction among these normally disparate groups are strikingly similar. So he's calling them babies in this article, and it sounds like he's very pro-life and wanting to know why, if the pro-aborts are so for abortion, but they're so disgusted by this, why? What's the difference
here's what's
here?
going on here. The pro-aborts are trying to distance themselves from this thing by making it appear that they oppose it.
Right.
But I would love one of these people to come on here or call in and we put them on here. I want to know one thing. What difference does it make to you if that baby had been ground up in the garbage disposal at the abortion mill and sent down the sewer,
Right.
or he took them home?
Right.
What possible difference could that make to you?
Well,
and we're not going to let you sit here and try to take the moral high ground
Right.
and appear like that you're upset about this. If you're upset about this, the only people that are upset about this are the pro-lifers.
Right.
Don't give me this crap
Right.
that you're upset about it, because you're not. You're a liar.
Yeah.
Well, it's the equivalent of serial killers. This abortionist, those were his trophies.
Right.
The baby's remains were his trophies.
Right.
Just like a serial killer, might take a lock of hair, or a toe, or some other body part.
Or take pictures. Or,
Yeah,
Right.
this is their trophy, and people are disgusted with serial killers. Not only the fact that he took a trophy, but that he killed the person in the first place. Why isn't it the same with the unborn child?
Well, the fact is, it is the same.
Exactly, but why isn't it the same to them?
Right.
If you're pro-choice, this is what you're going to get.
This don't come in here. Yeah, if you're pro-choice, don't come in here and tell me you're upset by this.
Yeah.
Or you're outraged.
If
by
you're
this.
okay with women going into abortion clinics and having their uterus sliced open and they bleed out, or whatever happens, this is,
you signed up
this
for
is
this.
it.
The location of where the bodies or where the baby's remains is does not matter. The fact is that the baby was killed in the first place.
Baby shouldn't have been dead to begin
Yeah.
with.
Well, and he had the paperwork on each and every single baby that was aborted. So they know who these babies actually belong to.
And I don't want to hear it. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear people talking about how pro-abort's trying to take the moral high ground and talking about how upset they are about this. You signed up for this. This is what you get.
And another thing I don't want to hear is the women who went to him for abortion saying, "Oh, give me my baby. How could he do that to my baby? Why did he keep my
What did
baby?"
he think was going to happen?
Exactly. You paid him to kill your child. You had your child killed. Don't tell me that you care now about where your child's body is.
Right, where the corpse went. It's amazing. But anyway, I want to bring up one other thing, Tom. The pro-aborts are always trying to find cover. And now we had this Leanna Wynn, I guess is how you pronounce it. She was made the president of Planned Parenthood. They kept her there for a couple of months and threw her out.
Yeah, for 8 months. Yeah.
8 months, whatever
Yeah.
it was. And they claimed she wasn't pro-abortion enough.
Right.
And she said some things that upset them and made them consider getting rid of her, which they did. In the middle of the night meeting, apparently, which she wasn't even at. They got rid of her. But anyway, one thing that bothers me here is I've heard even a couple of people on television that claim to be pro-life who are trying to give her cover and saying, oh, she was at least rational and reasonable. And no, this woman was a raging pro-abort.
She wouldn't have been the president of Planned Parenthood here.
To begin with,
Right.
She's only saying, and now she's come out here, she's trying to put the best spin on this thing she can for herself personally. And she's taking the Bill Clinton's abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. I want to challenge you, Leanna Wynn, come on here, call me, and I'll put you on here. And I want you to tell me why abortion should be rare.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you answer that question. Why should it be rare? If it's not the killing of a living human being, there's no justification for it being rare. You know, they say this is a constitutional right. that women should rarely use. Why?
Yeah.
We don't say that about any other constitutional right.
And also, if it's women's health care, why should it be rare? If it's
Right.
so great for women, why should it be rare?
Well,
why
because-
shouldn't it be on every single corner?
Right.
I mean, her thing is that she's wanting preventative. She's wanting more birth control and things of that nature. But the thing about this is that this is what Planned Parenthood was using a few years ago, and they wanted to drop the rare part because they didn't want it, and they did. And now she's trying to bring it back.
Right. But again, it's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy of the first order. She's every bit as bad as anybody else at Planned Parenthood. She's every bit as morally bereft. And I guarantee you, she will never come on a show like this where somebody is going to force her to answer the question why it should be rare.
No, she won't.
Either it's murder or it's not.
Yeah.
There is no middle ground there. You can't halfway kill the baby, so there is no middle ground. If it's murder, then it doesn't matter how often it
You're
happens.
taking a
If it's
human
not
life,
murder, it
right.
doesn't matter how often it happens. You're
That's
taking a
right.
human life.
Yep.
And one last thing before we go to robots here. A judge in England, there's a woman who has learning disabilities, does not want to have an abortion. They are forcing her to have an abortion because she has learning disabilities.
Yep.
And the judge now has issued a ruling saying she can be physically restrained,
Held down to
held
have this
down
abortion.
and aborted.
Yeah.
Now, you say, well, we don't normally cover a lot of stuff that happens in foreign countries. But let me tell you something. Everything we've ever seen that's happened in a foreign country related to abortion eventually came here. And if you think that the pro-aborts, they're talking about choice, and the British are saying this woman has no choice. Right? And a judge has ruled that she can be physically restrained and held down and
But
aborted.
she has no choice.
Don't tell me that the pro-choice community in America would be any different. They would support this judge.
Right.
This is coming here. Just
Yeah.
get ready.
Well, and it can happen in any country where abortion is legal.
Right.
It happens all the time in China.
Right. Well, you often hear this argument, and I've covered it on robots a couple of times. Any government that can tell you can't have an abortion can tell you have to have one. This is the stupidest argument. Even for pro-aborts, that's a stupid argument. I challenge them to tell me one instance where a woman in a state, in an environment where abortion was illegal, or let's say in the United States, prior to Roe versus Wade, give me one instance where abortion was illegal and the government forced somebody to do it. The only way that somebody can be forced to have an abortion is in a country where abortion is legal, not illegal. So you have to take, this is part of the deal, just like we were talking about a minute ago. You take abortion, you take this. This is part of the deal.
And so much for my body, my choice.
Right.
Where's the outrage from the abortion advocates on this?
Yeah, they're nowhere to be found.
I have a question though. Couldn't she seek asylum? Couldn't she say my baby's life is in danger? This is a threat against me. I'm seeking asylum.
Who knows? I guess if she could get to the border, she could.
Yeah.
We give people asylum for a lot less reasons than that. But anyway, let's take a moment out for robots, and when we come home. When we come back, I've got a little short thing about politics to talk about, and we'll get to that as soon as we listen to robots.
In 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court legalized abortion nationwide. The decision is called Roe versus Wade, and those who defend it are known as robots. This is how they think.
If you don't like abortion, then don't have one.
Ironically, this is a concept the pro-life movement can enthusiastically support. All we ask is that the same offer be extended to the unborn. Given that every time a mom has an abortion, her baby also has one, it seems only fair that this child should be allowed to have the same option. Of course, we cannot ask unborn children whether they would like to have their legs torn off, their arms ripped from the sockets, their chest crushed, and their skulls split open. But since no born person would choose that for themselves, I think we can logically assume that the unborn wouldn't choose it either. So why would we give someone else the right to choose it for themselves? And that brings up an interesting question. Would all these people who call themselves pro-choice still be pro-choice if they were the ones being chosen? I mean, if it were possible to place them back into their mother's wombs and then interview them there, would they still have this arrogant, don't like abortion, don't have one attitude? Would they still be making this sort of moronic statement if they were the ones who might be butchered and then ground up in a garbage disposal and flushed down the city sewer system? My suspicion is that they wouldn't. I saw something. This is just this morning's paper, this morning's Dallas Morning News. And here's an article. The headline is, Trump repeatedly misquotes Texan, right? Mm-hmm. Trump repeatedly misquotes Texan. And what they're talking about here, this is a Dallas Morning News writer named Todd Gilman, or reporter, or whatever you want to call him. He's saying that Trump is lying when he says that this Representative Al Green from Texas, and you know, everybody thinks everybody from Texas is conservative. We've got a whole cadre of these godless degenerates like Al Green.
Yes, we do.
They're everywhere.
Don't want to call them Texans,
No,
but they are.
I would never refer to myself in the same context with this guy. But anyway, this article is claiming that when Trump says that Al Green is saying that if they don't impeach him, that he'll win re-election, and that's why that's the motivation behind the impeachment. Well, obviously we all know that's true.
Yeah.
That's clearly true. But this writer for the Dallas Morning News is saying that Trump is lying when he says Al Green said that.
Yeah.
So you read through the article, you get deep into the article, and then he gives the quote from Green. Now remember, Trump is saying, Al Green is saying that if they don't impeach me, I'm going to get reelected.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
This guy from the Dallas Morning News, Gilman, is saying that Trump is lying. That Green didn't
Misquoted
see
him.
That. He never said that. Here's the quote, and this is from the same article. And this is Green speaking, quote, I'm concerned that if we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected. If we don't impeach him, he will say he has been vindicated. He will say the Democrats had an overwhelming majority in the House and they didn't take up impeachment. We have a constitutional crisis, unquote. In other words, that's exactly what Trump was saying, word for word almost. And yet this guy, Gilman, lies through his teeth, puts this headline up there, Trump repeatedly misquotes Texan. The point here is that I have been saying for years, and I think Trump has said it somewhere along the way, if I'm not mistaken, the biggest enemy of America is the media. That is what's going to collapse this country if nothing else does. It's the liars and the phonies in the media. And this is a classic example of that, because what this guy, you say, well, why would Gilman, this Todd Gilman character, why would he write this article, have this headline up there attacking Trump, and then inside the article is a quote proving that Trump was telling the truth? Why would he do that? What this guy knows, and everybody in the media knows this, especially people that work for newspapers, and studies have shown this, a very high percentage of people don't read newspapers anymore. Most of them are going broke, and for good reason, and good riddance when they are gone. But even people that do read newspapers, most of them only read the headlines.
Yeah.
And a few of them will read the first or second paragraph. So what you do is, if you're this guy, you make the headline what you want the people to hear. Then to cover your own self, you put the real quote buried deep in the article, because you know 90% of the people who read this are never going to get that deep into it.
Well, it's true with not just newspapers, but stuff online. Like news organizations that have Facebook pages and make posts, they give the headline and then they may give, a couple of sentences. Well, you can't really get the full story unless you click on the link, go and read the whole thing.
Which they know nobody's going to do.
And some people have to purchase.
Right.
Yeah, and so,
Right.
I mean, the media lies, and more people in America are starting to see that, thankfully. I mean, there are still a percentage who believe the media, which is ridiculous.
But yeah, but if you just picked up the Dallas Morning News
Yeah.
today and you go through it and you see this Trump repeatedly misquotes Texan, and then this guy says, hey, Trump is saying the reason for the impeachment is so that I don't get reelected. Even one of their own people is saying that. He's lying. And that's all you read.
Right.
Then
You're going to walk away believing that Trump's a liar.
right.
I've-
When in reality, Al Green's not even lying. He's telling the truth. It's this reporter that's lying.
Yeah. I think a good moral that not only has to do with media, but just information in general, don't take things at face value. Research, use your critical thinking skills. Don't just take, what someone says and, oh, yeah, I believe them. Don't be naive.
Yeah, and always be suspicious of people who say they have your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
Always be suspicious of those guys.
And I want to mention one of our new products that we came out with is a sticker that shows Bigfoot, and it talks about, the media and
Yeah, what's the difference between Bigfoot and an honest journalist?
Yeah.
Bigfoot might actually exist.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, those bumper stickers have already proven to be pretty popular.
stickers and
I mean, not bumper stickers;
yeah.
they're just stickers.
you can put it on your bumper if you want.
Right.
But
Anyway, y'all got anything else?
Nothing else.
I think we're done. Until next Tuesday, remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how the killing stops. We'll see you next week.